The academic year starts in Ukraine. Approximately 13,000 schools will be open, but not all students will be able to sit down. Decisions about the format of classes are made by military administrations, local authorities and the management of educational institutions. The main condition for offline lessons is shelter in the educational institution arranged according to all the rules and safety in the region. The academic year will begin remotely in Kharkiv. Educational institutions do not work in the city. Some of the premises were destroyed by Russian shells. Correspondent Alexandra Novozil will tell how the process was organized. Sasha, hello. How did classes start in Kharkiv and the region? Were there shelling?
Dennis, hello. Classes began online in Kharkiv and the region. No shelling of the city of Kharkiv was recorded in the morning. On the eve of the night, it is known about the shelling of the suburbs. In Kharkiv, not a single school will work in its premises. Now I am in Saltivsky district. At least 4 educational institutions in the city look like the building behind me. They are almost completely destroyed. This school was shelled twice. The Russian MLRS Grad fired at it for the first time in the spring. In the summer, it was the first school to be hit by a Russian S-300 missile. You can see the consequences. In total, more than 100 schools out of 190 were damaged in Kharkiv. Saltivsky district is the largest sleeping area of U-200B U-200B The It is located in the north, close to Russia. It remains unsafe, so no educational institutions operate here. Actually, as in other areas of the city. This year, the number of students has also halved. The number of children who will attend educational institutions of the Kharkiv region is 120,000. Earlier there were almost 500,000 of them. Now in the Kharkiv region, in places where active hostilities are not taking place, they are trying to set up shelters. This is in order to be able to resume studies not remotely, but offline. But in Kharkiv itself, most likely, the entire school year will take place online. Given that quite a few children have gone abroad, children are allowed to attend schools abroad. And at the same time continue studying in Ukrainian schools online.
Thank you. It was Alexandra Novozil with information about the beginning of the school year in Kharkiv and the region. 270 Ukrainian schools were completely destroyed by the occupiers. In total, more than 2,400 educational institutions were damaged. These are data from the Ministry of Education and Science. For example, in Chernihiv, 25 schools out of 34 were seriously damaged. Olena Blesniakova will tell more about their condition after the Russian shelling.
Instead of classrooms, there are the ruins themselves, and the schoolyard, where celebrations usually take place, is barely passable. This is what school number 21 in Chernihiv looks like after the attacks of the Russian occupiers. Despite the fact that it is in ruins, former students come here almost every day to meet their friends. In particular, 10-year-old Karina. The girl remembers well the moment when the school was bombed, because she lives nearby. I was scared because our windows were broken and my mother was almost nailed to the wall by the door. The window and the chandelier almost fell on me. Sophia also decided to come to her former class. She is 14. I cried already after the bombing stopped. Because the realization came later. I realized that there was no more school. End. A classmate of the girl died from the shelling. Now Sophia, like the rest of the students of this school, will study elsewhere. There is still no talk of restoring the institution. Priority is given to those educational institutions that are partially damaged and can be restored fairly quickly. However, those schools that do not have access to shelters, or are located near the border with Russia or Belarus, or with war zones, will only start online. This is not how children should live, thinking they could be attacked at any moment. In Ukraine, I saw schools where every class was underground. I have never seen anything like it in my life. You know, usually you have windows, you can see through them, and these kids don't have that luxury, they just get used to that lifestyle. When they have to be protected from a possible attack, this is not something a child should have to deal with. In general, according to the Ministry of Education and Science, since the beginning of the war, the occupiers have damaged almost 2,500 educational institutions. And more than 250 were completely destroyed, like this one in Chernihiv. A school where children still come with the hope of meeting their friends. Olena Blizniakova, Jediny Noviny on Suspilny.
A safety lesson will be held at the capital's Lyceum by heads of the State Emergency Service and Patrol Police. They will inspect the shelter and hold lectures for children. Vlada Prizova is in touch with us. Vlado, hello. What do you know about the safety lesson?
Hello, Dennis. Today, as part of the event, representatives of the State Emergency Service will inspect the shelter. The shelter of this institution is designed for 500 people, has 2 evacuation exits. There are water supplies, ventilation, bio-toilets and a fire extinguishing system. Today, only the 5th and 11th grades came to study. They have only one safety lesson on the schedule. Let's listen to the press officer of the State Emergency Service, Alexander Koronzai, about what the children will be told.
How to act during an air alert. The second issue, which is very relevant now, is mine safety. We will talk with the children about what to do if you find an explosive object. But how to recognize him.
The only safety lesson takes place all over Ukraine, both in face-to-face training and online. Security classes are also created. Today, about 70 such classes have already been created. Dennis, you have a word.
Thank you. Vlada Prizova told how the safety class is held in one of the capital's lyceums.